One evening, I went to the deaf club to chat and sign. Then I saw a deaf man who was tall and looked like he was funny. I thought, I like the look of him.
I struggled to get into the deaf community. Then I met John, and he helped.
We'd been chatting all night, when at the end, I remember clearly, my friend saying, "We have to go, now, now." I said I had to go. He asked, "When will I see you again?" I said, "I don't know," and we went in opposite directions.
Hello, my name is Diane, and this is my sign name.
Hi, I'm Dean.
I'm Leslie, and this is my sign name.
At home, my family were all hearing. I communicated only with my brother. We were very close. My brother's the youngest. I'm the fourth child, and he's the fifth. If I needed anything, I'd ask him to communicate for me. I rarely spoke to my sister or my mother, and just a bit to my father. Mostly, I'd communicate through my brother. It was like he was my interpreter back then, when I think about it. Not that I thought that at the time. I'd ask him to relay things for me.
I was born hearing, but when I was about 16, I had an accident and bumped my head. That led to me becoming a little bit deaf. About 7 years ago, my partner at the time said I was missing parts of conversations. And I had the TV on really loud. Without subtitles, I couldn't follow anything. So I went to the doctor and got an appointment. The audiologist confirmed that I was now severely deaf.
My family? Well, my mother and father were deaf. I have two brothers, one is hearing and one is deafened. Then there's me. But we didn't sign when we grew up. We were an oral family. My mother and father signed to each other, but as a family we communicated orally. We were oral, but we were deaf aware. We'd lip read, tap shoulders, bang the floor, have flashing lights, use a text phone, everything. It meant we felt equal. We didn't label ourselves as deaf or hearing. We were a family. My parents and brothers, we were close.
Do I wish I'd signed at school? I never thought about signing. Never. I always thought I was hearing, not a deaf person. I thought I was like my family. I had a few deaf friends, but they didn't sign. They were oral. So I thought they were hearing too.
Growing up, groups were always difficult. When I was a teenager, with boys around, there were lots of group chats. I was lost. I'd smile and pretend I was following. It was always harder for me to connect. Once, a boy wanted to phone me, so a friend listened and repeated what he said. So I could lip read and reply. It was like that back then. I wouldn't say to someone, "You can't phone me." Now, we'd just text. So friends would help, but it was never smooth and easy.
My confidence went down when I lost my hearing. I couldn't communicate, and my lip reading was awful. I tried to lip read, but I'd give up. I got depressed, isolated, and lonely. It meant I couldn't socialise or meet friends because I couldn't communicate. It was very, very hard. I got so down.
Growing up, I relied on my mother for lots and lots of things. Like phoning for me, going to the doctors, the hospital, shops. I relied on her for communication. I wasn't confident except when I was with her, never by myself. I relied on my mother all the time. When I was about 27, I remember my mother became ill. She was diagnosed with cancer. I didn't really know about cancer. I thought it was just a small illness. I hadn't realised how serious it was because of the lack of communication. I realised I'd missed out on a lot of information. Then after a year, she suddenly passed away. I didn't expect it. I asked why my mother had died. I was told cancer. I was stunned. When she passed away, I was shocked. I was 28. I realised she'd gone. My mother had gone. It hit me really hard. I didn't believe my father when he told me. I kept saying, "Rubbish, rubbish." I didn't believe him. Then we had the funeral, and I had to go back to normality, but without Mum.
I decided I needed to get into the deaf community. I didn't want to be alone. I needed to connect with deaf people. Because deafness had been forced upon me, I'd had no choice. It meant I had to start going to deaf events. I went to deaf comedy, which was great. Then a friend told me about a deaf event in Blackpool. I asked what it was called, and they told me Deaf Pool. So I booked and went. I was amazed. Everyone was signing, and it was packed. Great! I could sit and talk to people I'd never met before, no problem. Then I spotted someone. John. On my first date with John, I was nervous. But I knew we could communicate, no problem. I was attracted to him because he's cheeky. He teases me. I loved that I could connect with him straight away. So, thinking back to when we first met to now, what was my identity like? And my signing when I started?
At that time, you were hard of hearing. You were withdrawn because you'd been hearing and had become deaf. It was a problem for you at that time and you didn't know what to do. So we communicated using a mixture of sign language and speech. It was difficult for you, but I encouraged you to get into the deaf community. When they first met you, they weren't sure about you because you spoke. But I said, hold on, he signs as well. And they said, oh. They forgot that you're a hearing person who'd become deaf. They forgot that. So I had to remind them. But now they accept you because you sign. You get involved with different things through me. And because we're together.
We've been together for a long time, and it works well. How and why?
I think it's important that we share the same humour and the same communication. We both like the same things, travelling, the theatre, and so on. What's important in a relationship is communication, and we've got that.
One Sunday morning, I was sitting at home in my dressing gown when my father came down and told me that See Here had a new presenter. They wanted to attract more younger viewers. He said to watch it and let him know what I thought. So I watched it, and Memnos came on. He was very confident, presenting at Manchester United. At first, I thought he was a bit cocky. But at the end, he winked and walked off, and I thought, ooh. I started to like him. After that, I watched it every week.
Who's your favourite player?
Eric Cantona.
I'd started going to the Deaf Youth Club, though I was still very oral. I knew some signs, but I still used gestures and exaggerated lip patterns. But they accepted me. There was a trip to Blackpool, which I was up for. I asked my parents, and they said it was fine. So I went, and that evening, Memnos walked in. I knew him from TV, so I went up to him and said hello. We chatted, but he was acting all cool and went off. The second time, he came up to me and we had more of a connection. There was definitely a spark there. We'd been chatting all night when at the end, I remember clearly my friend saying, "We have to go, now, now." I said I had to go. He asked, "When will I see you again?" I said, "I don't know," and we went in opposite directions. That's when I knew it was the start of something. So, when we first met, what did you think of me?
When I first met you, I was all about signing. And oral communication put me off because my teachers were oral. Despite that, I was instantly attracted to you. You know that for me, it was love at first sight. Later, I felt like we had become soulmates. We were best friends as well as lovers, boyfriend and girlfriend, all in one. We did everything together.
When did you notice I'd changed or become part of the deaf world?
I'd say it was when you became manager of the GB women's football team. That's when you knew you had to sign to get your message to all the players. Across all their communication methods. That's when you signed more and more, including international sign. You started using more facial expressions. That's when I noticed you were signing more and had become part of the deaf world. Not yet in Britain, but the wider world. After that, you rose from there. International sign helped you improve. Your life before and after I met you. What changed?
I remember I went on holiday after we'd met. This was with school friends. One night, I was tired, I'd had too much to drink, and my friend was talking to me. I started signing to her, and she complained that she couldn't understand me. That was the moment I knew sign language was my language. I was tired, and I just wanted to sign. And the change was that you introduced me to a world where I had access to everything. Yes, that was what changed. Before I could see things, but now I was in a world where I could understand everything, where I was in control, I could follow, I could ask for things.
Before, you were nervous.
Before, I missed things, but I accepted that. I accepted missing out. But now, I could access everything. After that, I couldn't go back. I couldn't go back.
When my mother passed away, I was sad and I really missed her. One day, I was at work sewing, feeling really, really down, lonely and on my own. I decided I needed to change my life. I decided to go to college and learn new skills. I went to college full-time, then I started learning to sign. And that's how things progressed. I started going to the Deaf Club. One evening, I went there to chat and sign. Then I saw a deaf man who was tall and looked like he was funny. I thought, I like the look of him. I was too shy to go and talk to him. I kept glancing across though. Each time I looked, I liked what I saw. The first time I met up with Trevor, we went to Haworth in Yorkshire. We had my favourite, fish and chips. We sat and talked. We signed, although at the time I was still oral. I only had a basic level of sign language. We used a mixture of sign language, gesture and speech. I felt he was a very nice, very kind person. I started to warm to him. Remember when you first met me? What was I like?
Yes, at the Deaf Club. I remember you coming in. You didn't sign hello, you said hello. I thought you were a hearing person learning to sign. Then we had eye contact and started to talk. You were oral. I asked if you were hearing and you said you were deaf and learning to sign. At that time you weren't confident. You were low, I could sense it. We talked and talked, muddling through with lip reading and speaking. It was fantastic.
Remember you contacted me saying you wanted to meet me in Haworth. Do you remember? Why?
I thought it'd be better to go somewhere like Haworth. We'd have more privacy there. I wanted you to tell me what had happened with your mother. You said she had died. It would just be more private. We didn't sign at all. We spoke. Then you gradually told me, bit by bit, what had happened. I remember that.
Comparing me when you first met me to now, what was I like?
Before, when you were oral, you'd never had the chance to learn things. When we went to places together, you learned about different cultures. And that not all deaf people are the same. There's a lot of variety. You learned a lot about deaf awareness, hand shapes, regional signs, and absorbed lots of information. You said before about me being a good signer. That's part of being in the community. but now you sometimes correct my signs, and you're right. That's because you've learned lots of things.
Before I met you, I was a very quiet and shy girl. I didn't talk much. I was very withdrawn. When I met you, I opened up. My personality came out. I realised what I didn't have. I could have a sense of humour. I could say funny things in conversations and tell people things. Now I can't stop signing. You made me come out of myself. Having a language helped me. Sign language.
We both went to Greece for my birthday. I woke up on my birthday morning and John gave me a card and a letter. I opened it and looked. It had pictures from the fingerspelling alphabet. It said, "Will you marry me?" I looked at John. He was on his knees, shaking and holding a ring. I said yes. My wedding day was fantastic. I loved walking down the aisle. All my friends were stunned because they didn't expect me to wear a kilt. I'd kept it a secret all that time. Some of them had their mouths open, and some of them were laughing. John had forgotten that I'm half Scottish.
We have two girls. They're hearing, but they've been exposed to different experiences. They're part of the deaf community through going to deaf clubs, and they're coders. Through the deaf community, they've travelled the world and met different people. They can talk easily to anyone. They're aware of different backgrounds and differences. They're not insular. I believe having deaf parents gives them a richer life. It's different, but richer. They have access to different experiences.
What's annoying about Trevor is his way of teasing me and making me believe something. Then he says he's only joking. That's Trevor, and that's why his sign name is Naughty. I wouldn't change him in any way, but he's still annoying. One weekend, I was in Edinburgh for a youth course from Friday to Sunday. One evening, I looked at my phone and it said, "Will you marry me?" Trevor always teases me, so I wrote back, "You're joking." He replied, "Will you marry me?" He seemed serious, so I replied yes, with lots of exclamation marks. Yes, he was happy. I think that weekend he realised he missed me, wanted to be with me, so he asked me to marry him. It makes me really emotional. My wedding day was special, really special. because I was committing to Trevor, who I loved. We arranged the wedding. There was my family and his family. And we had a deaf vicar. It was a beautiful day. It was the best moment of my life, my wedding.
The best thing I've met Trevor
My relationship with Memnos. It's like a bond that can never break. Whatever ups and downs we face in life, it stays strong. Together, we will get through, no matter what happens.
Love means being with Trevor. He's my best friend. He's good company, good fun, and full of good humour. I couldn't wish for a better person. No.
Love is like before I was half a person, but now I'm a full person. I'm happy.